Action Comics issue 1062 finds a man getting ready to jump from the Metropolis Bridge, recording a message for his mother's answering machine. He tells her that he tried, but it feels like he always doesn't belong in this world, and he feels like an idiot. He thinks everyone is laughing at him, as in the cars behind him, people are turned into Bizarros, laughing at the man and telling him to jump. The man is overcome by the Bizarro's sickness and leaps to his death, as the sickness continues to spread through the city and even to planes above, which begin falling out of the sky as the passengers try and pilot the plane. Firefighters head out to fight fires and start more, spraying fires from their hose. Surgeons in Metropolis General ready for some brain surgery, only to be performed on himself by a brain-damaged patient. The police begin to free jailed inmates, pet lovers kick their dogs, and so much more warped disasters begin happening around the city as the spell spreads. Superman, who has also been infected, stands atop the Daily Planet and laughs as Metropolis becomes the city of Bizarro. Bizarro Lois tells her husband to look at what he has made, finding it to be the ugliest thing she has ever seen. Superman briefly fights the Control and Bizarro Lois tells him not to, since the only right thing to do now is to embrace all that once felt wrong. Bizarro Lois wants him to divorce her all over again, but Clark snaps out of the Control, returning to normal. He tries to get Lois to fight the spell as well, but she can't. Instead, she demands to know what Superman has done with her husband. Clark flies into the city, leaving Lois to try and help out the people, stopping the firefighters from spreading the fire, saving the man from jumping off a bridge, and safely landing the plane above Metropolis. As he saves the people, he finds the laughter has stopped, and people begin calling him a monster for saving kids from being killed by a bus. The Bizarro people surround Superman, calling him a super fascist for trying to dictate what they can and can't do. Clark thinks that this is just a madhouse, as the people demand to know where Bizarro number 1 is. Superman begins to hear Bizarro in his mind again, asking him how he feels to be so loved, wondering if Superman wants to love the people back. Superman knows that this means he wants to hurt them, speeding into the sky as he refuses to let Bizarro gain control over his body and do something violent. The hero begins focusing on helping the city, and days later, nothing has changed. The fatigued Superman continues to try and help despite no change happening and the spell showing no sign of weakening. Batman, who's been monitoring the perimeter of Metropolis, asks him how many casualties are they looking at, but Superman tells him that actually no one has died, and while there's been plenty of injuries and a few disfigurements thanks to him not getting there in time, no one has actually been killed. Bruce asks if he has slept since this started, but Clark knows he'll sleep once it's sorted out. He asks if Zatanna or Dr. Fate have come up with an answer to stop the spell, as the western perimeter is breached. Batman already knows, having already arrived in that area to stop it. Bruce reluctantly reveals that Dr. Fate has been taken by the spell, thanks to spending too long in the quarantine zone, meaning Bizarro's magic is more powerful than they thought, and Zatanna and Madame Xanadu are keeping him subdued, while other experts arrive on site. Blue Devil and Constantine meanwhile try and determine what this spell is, and John just sends Blue Devil out to get his lunch order, telling him that it's important for the spell. Superman wants Batman to keep them at a distance, as he doesn't want anyone else getting infected, his family included. Bruce asks what happens when he is infected, but the hero knows that he's fine and he won't be. Bruce can tell that Clark is actually lying to him, and it means the infection has already begun and he's turning into Bizarro. Superman refuses to abandon his city, since if he does, everyone he loves will kill themselves within a day. He assures Batman that he has beaten Bizarro before and he'll do it again, but Bruce isn't so sure, and maybe he should listen to what the villain actually has to say, since it might give them a clue to what's happening. Clark refuses to, since Bizarro's thoughts are beyond horrific, and today he had to shut down a Bizarro maternity unit, not even wanting to say what they were trying to do with the babies. Batman thinks that he's seeing the darkest extreme of the Bizarro code brought to life, wanting Clark to tell him how he is really holding up. Clark is pulled away by an explosion deeper in the city, and later, in a very rare moment where nothing is actually happening around the city, Superman checks on Lois, who instead of being a journalist or writer, is burning books in Centennial Park. Lois tells the gathered people to burn the books that make them uncomfortable and ones that are pushing anti-Bizarro agendas. She proclaims that they do it in the name of Bizarro, and in Metropolis, all are free. They spot Superman above, knowing that he hates everything they stand for, and the Bizarro news warns the people to seek shelter immediately, and if Superman tries to save them without their consent, they are to scream for the police. People in the Ace of Spades bet that Superman will run away as the news choppers begin covering Superman's arrival in the park, apologizing to their viewers for the graphic images. Bizarro Lois tells Superman that he's the biggest threat they face, and all Superman can say is that he hates this. The people fire their guns at him, but the bullets do nothing to the hero, as Superman tries to get them to stop, since they'll only hurt each other in the process. He collects all of their weapons up as Bizarro tells Clark that even he has his limits and he can't bottle up his anger or try and hide it any longer. He tells Clark that it's so easy to be a Bizarro as weeks earlier, Bizarro arrives in Centennial Park, looking over the statue of Superman and trying to find the hero. He tells the people below that he is lost and wants to find the hero as the people begin taking notice of him, welcoming him down to the ground where they take selfies with him. They begin to wonder how this guy is someone who goes toe-to-toe with Superman since he looks weak and looks like a freak. He takes off, saying that he is happy to be there, and the people realize that he actually means he's sad and crying, calling him the world's lamest supervillain. In the present, Bizarro tells Superman that humans deserve to die and Superman should just give in to being a Bizarro. Superman fights the urge to let Bizarro take over, but succumbs to it, unleashing his heat vision on the crowd and killing a bunch of people. Some of the people realize Bizarro number 1 has arrived. Happy he is there as he smashes through some buildings, causing more people to fall to their deaths. He flies straight through the news chopper, blowing it up as he proclaims that Superman is gone. However, he snaps out of the dream that Bizarro was showing him as the news chopper above drops its reporter. Superman tells Bizarro that he can try and turn his thoughts upside down all he wants or convince him that the whole world despises him, but he'll never give in to being the opposite of the boy his parents raised. Superman saves the reporter from the falling chopper, telling Bizarro that he is sorry for the way he was treated in Metropolis while he wasn't there, but that's no excuse for what he is doing to the city. Clark hopes that Bizarro can stop the spell if he's still alive in him somewhere, telling the being to free the people and give humanity another chance to show him their better nature. The reporter he saved spits in his face, telling him to go away since they want Bizarro number 1 back. Bizarro Lois tells him to go away forever, but Clark tells her he's not going anywhere, taking off into the sky as Lois continues to shout for him to go away, ever so briefly coming out of her infection to call him Clark. Superman vows to never leave the city as he begins being pelted by rain, and more days begin to pass and the city gets worse and worse as the quarantine fails, leaving no word from the world outside of Metropolis, or from his allies, or even his son. Clark assumes that he is the last person on Earth who hasn't changed, which means he will have to find some help on his own. Superman speeds out of the city as he says he doesn't know how much longer he can hold on, but he has an idea on how he can win, but he can't do it alone, which is why he heads to Gotham. Superman heads into an old graveyard, telling some unseen being that he has an insane idea, but the world is insane now and Bizarro is the only one who can fix it, and somehow he is still alive in his mind, so he needs to face him within his own head. He knows that he needs someone to guide him so he doesn't go mad in there, and there is only one man alive who can do that job. A being with an umbrella says that of course he'll help Superman since the whole Bizarro thing is bad for business. The being is revealed to be the Bizarro Joker, the most sane man in the world, who tells Superman they need to figure out how to fill at the mind of the Man of Steel since it's the only sane thing left to do.